Okay, hi everyone. So this is our last stop on our American cinema tour, and we'll be stopping at 1993 Jurassic Park, Steven Spielberg. So Jurassic Park, 1993, directed by Steven Spielberg. It was actually adapted from the novel from 1990 of the same name, Jurassic Park, by Michael Crichton, who also wrote the screenplay alongside David Cope. The film was the highest grossing film of 1993. It won more than 20 awards, 3 of which were Academy Awards for its technical merits in special effects and sound design. And in 2018, the film was selected by the Library of Congress to be added to the National Film Registry for its historical, cultural, and aesthetic merits. So a brief plot summary about Jurassic Park. The premise is that an island off of Costa Rica has been turned into a park filled with genetically modified, cloned, and created dinosaurs. And then 2 paleontologists are invited to the island to come inspect it, as well as a mathematician. The mathematician specifically played by the very famous Jeff Goldblum, who we all love, or at least I do. I think Jeff Goldblum is an American icon. The 2 paleontologists meet the park owner's grandchildren, and due to a series of events, one of the 2 paleontologists and the children end up stranded in the park with crazy dinosaurs. All of the dinosaurs, carnivores, herbivores, all the ones that want to eat them and then be their friend at the same time, for layman's words. And the other paleontologists, along with the children's grandfather and a couple other key characters, attempt to get them out of the park safely and not eaten by dinosaurs. So the meat of the story is about the survival of these people as the park goes haywire, security falls down, and they're all become susceptible to being eaten by dinosaurs. But as I said previously, the film was directed by Steven Spielberg, and Steven Spielberg is one of those directors who is a household name. Even if you don't know anything about movies or anything and you're watching this, you most likely heard the name Steven Spielberg before. Fun fact, if you're a Grey's Anatomy fan, he's actually Jessica Capshaw, who plays Arizona Robbins from seasons 5 to 14, her stepdad. It's a really cool fact. I love Arizona Robbins if you watch Grey's Anatomy. So Steven Spielberg was one of these directors that came up through film school, one of the first cohort of film school filmmakers, as opposed to earlier filmmakers and directors that kind of came up through the ranks, through the studio system, but never, the idea of having like a formal collegiate education was not something that you did to go to become a film director. But he was one of the first in these. So there's a certain class, a certain ego. It's kind of like that old white guy school that we know today of Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, Scorsese, De Niro, all of them, and coming up in film school. So, but when you, also the notion of the auteur, so the fact that when you watch a Steven Spielberg film, you kind of know it's a Steven Spielberg film, or if you go into a film knowing that it's a Steven Spielberg film, you have certain expectations. And so as I was watching this Jurassic Park, because I've actually never seen it before, but I knew it was a Steven Spielberg film going into it. So as I was watching it, I told you it's a tale of survival. So there's certain spots where you're like, oh my gosh, these people are gonna die, right? There's like a 7-year-old boy and you're like, he's going to die. And you're like, oh my God. But I'd keep reminding myself it's a Steven Spielberg film. So they usually have kind of like feel-good endings for the most part. And I'm like, 7-year-old boy's not gonna die. That's not in like Steven Spielberg's repertoire. Or whenever the love interest girl at the end, the other paleontologist, it's like the love interest of the other one. Towards the end, I was like, I think she's gonna die. Like you think she's gonna die, but then you're like, oh, it's a Steven Spielberg film. She's probably not gonna die. So to like ease my nerves and get my heart rate down, I was like, it's Steven Spielberg film. They'll be fine. Everything's fine. But yeah, so that's just a little bit about in the notion of directors and the film school generation and what Hollywood has looked like up until now, as we're kind of moving away from that. Well, people still are going to film school, but the idea of it being an old white guy game, because those are the people that back in the 60s and 70s could afford to go to film school. So it's much more opening now as like film school is more accessible to other people. That being said, so outside of the notion of directors and what it means to be a director and having a certain storyline, the film in itself, for all of its technical merit, especially given 1993, Like I said in my Fantasia vlog earlier, Steven Spielberg, who also directed the 1988 animated feature film The Land Before Time, is dinosaurs. So I guess Steven Spielberg likes dinosaurs. I like dinosaurs, big fan. Obviously very different, but the visual effects and the sound design for 1993, it's not like it was like 1895 or even like 1940. It's still astounding. There's a reason why it's being put into the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress. It is a technical merit all on its own, aside from the plot line. You could remove all of the dialogue from the film and just watch it as a silent film, and you'd still be like, oh my gosh, this is technical genius. I mean, it's just, I can't even imagine what that was like. And so, Jurassic Park, that's all I gotta say about that. Big fan. Honestly, now that I have a little bit of a break, I'm probably gonna go watch the whole franchise because I was a big fan. But yeah, and that concludes our journey through American cinema.